What did you learn about porn when you looked at that?
For the book. The thing with porn that I think a lot of people don't fully appreciate is that online porn is a completely different beast from like Playboy of the 60s. I mean, I start the book by writing about Playboy and writing about Hugh Hefner, and clearly like there were feminists writing at the time about porn being really grim for women. There's this famous cover of an issue of Hustler. I can't remember what year it was published in, probably the 70s, where a woman is being like ground up in a meat grinder and her legs are just sticking out the top. It's really like deliberately grotesque image, and feminists got so upset about it at the time, I think rightly, but like they had no idea what would happen with the internet. And I think that the thing that's so sinister about online porn is that there's this quote I use in the book, that the nature of like technocapitalism is that we are all either above the algorithm or below the algorithm. We're either creating these pieces of tech, or we're being influenced by them because we're using them, or we're, sexually interacting with people who are using them. And porn is such an amazing example of this because it's just profit driven. That's the point of it. It's not interested in the well-being of its consumers. I mean, whatever Pornhub have various like advertising efforts to try and sanitize what they do, but the whole point of it is making money, and they're really good at it. And the way that they do it is by basically creating a super stimulus which addles users' brains, and they're incredibly adept at basically arousing the human body, the human animal. Like, we can't really resist our animal instincts, as quickly as possible. So you log on to one of these platforms and you look at the front page, and like everything is designed to make you as horny as possible, as quickly as possible. And the way the platforms are designed is to like introduce you to the super stimulus, and then introduce you to something even more stimulating, and even more stimulating, even more stimulating. And so you end up, so a lot of people are able to use porn casually. Quite a lot of people don't use it at all, like a surprising proportion.
Do you know how much that is?
So I read a survey that about a quarter of millennial men haven't used it in the last month, which is quite a lot. But there's a minority of users who are like helpless.
Power users.
This, yeah. Like, again, Pareto is at play as well. Like, there is a small number of men who watch. I can't remember the figure I quote in the book. It's something like 2% of users use it for like 7 hours a week or more.
It's a lot of porn. Do you know Mary Harrington's law of fap entropy?
Yes.
That whatever you start out wanking to will get progressively more disgusting over time, and you'll be down in the depths of blueberry porn before you know it.
Well, yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I mean, like, just anecdotally, there are some very strange things that compulsive porn users end up being turned on by, and like to the point where they can't even, like, erectile dysfunction being a huge problem, they can't actually have sex with a real person.
What's the name for that? It's not ground pounding. What's it called? It's called something.
Oh, death grip syndrome.
Ground pounding. Where the fuck did I pull that from? Yeah,
That's much more unpleasant.
I mean, death grip syndrome isn't that nice either.
Yeah, and I write in the book about cultural death grip syndrome, which is where we've got an incredibly pornified public life. You've got so much more like sex scenes on TV, advertising, billboards, whatever. I mean, like, sex scenes on TV have ramped up so quickly just in my lifetime that it used to be edgy, and now it's like, every drama has to have like super, super explicit sex scenes every 5 minutes, whatever. So you've got that on the one hand. Well, I don't think we've ever had this much explicit sex in public life, but then also people aren't actually having sex. You have the sex recession, the sex depression, where you've got, as you were saying, you've got loads of men who are virgins up into their 20s and so on. It's this really weird, what's the word? It's this really weird contradiction. And it's one that the feminists of the 70s who were so upset about porn didn't foresee, interestingly. Like, they were concerned that porn would inspire sexual violence. And like, is complicated because it probably does a bit, like in some circumstances. So for instance, choking porn has become so popular and is so mainstream in a way that it wasn't at all 20 years ago. It used to be considered a really niche BDSM thing, and even actually in the BDSM community it was considered a bit risky. Whereas now, like, survey data is crazy for millennials and younger, the proportion of young women who report being choked by their partners, sometimes asking for it and sometimes non-consensually, but it's like just become insanely mainstream really quickly. And the only mechanism that I can see for that is porn, that it's inspiring a change in sexual culture. So sometimes, yeah, it's inspiring more aggressive behavior from its users, but equally, actually, sometimes it's like basically neutering users. Like they become actually incapable of having sex with a real person, and even become incapable of being aroused by just normal porn because they go down the rabbit hole.
Law of FAP entropy continues to provide.
Yeah.
What's happening, people? If you enjoyed that, then press here for the full unedited episode, and don't forget to subscribe. Peace.